The most ancient predators paralyze their prey with poison and suck out all the life juices from it. They have 8 legs, several pairs of eyes, and they do not shy away from cannibalism. They are unrivaled hunters and ruthless killers, knowing dozens of ways to deceive, neutralize, and destroy their prey. People are afraid and avoid these creatures. Meeting them causes panic in most. These are real spiders and death machines in the world of invertebrates. Their ancestors chose the path hundreds of 1 million years ago. But what if we were transported back in time, to an era when these creatures were not just predators, but real ones, and slept differently? But was the Earth like in the era of giant spiders of different kinds? And what made them shrink to their modern sizes? To understand how spiders became what we know them as today, we need to turn to their origins.
It is generally accepted that spiders, scorpions, phalanges, and ticks originated from marine or arthropods, like the same cancer scorpions, having tails. The oldest known to science ancestors of spiders of different moths are dormouse. Wine film was found in the Canadian Burgess Shale deposits, the age of which exceeds 500 million years. It was a small creature about 2.5 centimeters in size, covered with a shell and possessing cunning special generic ancestors, different from other representatives of arthropods and serving them the main weapon of killing its victim. The ancestor of spiders had full-fledged, although primitively arranged lungs and led a devoted way of life, hunting small crustaceans. Time passed and turned into formidable predators, terrorized their seas, fields. Zoya giant crayfish, scorpions. Reptiles were considered the rightful owners of the waters, but by the beginning of the Roman period, nature decided on a daring step of land development and gave birth to the first conquerors of land spaces, archaic scorpions and spiders. One of the first creatures to set foot on the Earth's surface was the scorpion, which lived on Earth 440 million years ago. At first glance, you would not be able to distinguish this small 3-centimeter creature from modern scorpions. Its descendants adopted the appearance of their ancestor quite accurately. This rickets was something of a hybrid transitional form. It led an aquatic lifestyle, but could freely crawl out onto land. A little later, the first fully terrestrial creatures appear in the upper layer. Pseudospiders from the genus Tarba, the intriguer Tarba, were not yet full-fledged spiders in the full sense of the word. They lacked poison glands, and their bodies consisted of chili and outwardly resembled the abdomen of the matrix. Later in the coal period, 3 Tarbas will acquire powerful skeletons and protective spines, but will not withstand competition from real spiders and will eventually die out. But in the times of the powers of the era, the land was only just beginning to be developed. In addition to plants and mushrooms, only the scorpions of the intriguer tarbs and some types of multi-story buildings dared to come out of the water. Therefore, at that time, they could be considered almost kings of the land kingdom. The transition to a land-based lifestyle required significant changes in physiology. In addition to the development of full-fledged limbs, there was a reduction. The external characteristic of aquatic organisms was replaced by the internal. A relatively short life cycle and small size were manifested as frequent manifestations of the need to complete development in a limited time. The main problem for the spider when going out on land was the issue of protection from previously harmless spaces. Its silhouette, unmercilessly introduced by winds, represented a serious threat to ancient spiders. The same insects with their trophy exchange system decided not to carry out such a dubious modernization of the respiratory system, and therefore did not experience any difficulties in conquering land. A number of different spiders, for example, from the Alps bogey and Senokos, decided to follow the example of insects and leave trophy breathing as the main one. They are echoed by small skin tanks, nits, ticks, and barriers, which are generally free from the... In the 90th period, the active conquest of land by higher plants leads to the formation of new forest bases. This event gives a start to the rapid development of land arthropods, including spiders of different kinds. Among the most famous of that period are rickets, giant scorpion, leucosis. It is considered the largest spider, figurative of all that ever lived on Earth. Its remains were found in sandstone of the Moscow stage in the county. Judging by the 10 centimeters in free finger, one of these Scorpio, they could grow almost up to 1 meter in length. These are, of course, not the famous scorpions from Philae, but something very close in size. Another interesting character from that time is a pseudospider from the Corpus genus. This is a small spider, the length of which, together with legs, did not exceed 1 centimeter. It is interesting because it became the first spider to have a web and glands with pylon. Almost 3 dozen of these glands were located on the back of the creature's abdomen at a small distance from each other. Such a device allowed the creation of webs and fabrics with freely directed or chaotic arrangement of threads. However, this ancient spider-like creature was far from modern spiders with their incredibly complexly obtained apparatus. Firstly, there was no possibility of fine adjustment of the thread thickness. Secondly, the low speed of web feed completely. Thirdly, the complete lack of control over the glands by the owner. The web simply emerged from under the pseudo-spider, like toothpaste emerges when you hold the tube in your hand. Of course, these spiders could not weave any clever webs. They used the web to make holes and protect eggs. And there was actually nothing to catch in the web at that time. Winged insects had not yet appeared. The time of real spiders has not yet come. About 350 million years ago, in the Carboniferous period, the situation began to change. The rapid growth of forests of giant ferns and diving beetles, as well as the abundance of swamps and lakes, contribute to an important and warm climate, very favorable for the rapid development of all forms of life, among which spiders stand out in particular. Carbon is considered to be the heyday of species, and among land arthropods, as well as a long life cycle, Gigante is extremely rare in terrestrial forms of arthropods and is inherent only to individuals. These modes of existence are directly related to multiple periodic reproduction, and apparently are inherited by spiders different from water or whole. On land, such a phenomenon is clearly traced in a humid and warm climate. For example, modern tropical forests. The same South American spider's birds of prey reach the size of a severe plate. The most striking example of a giant spider of the Carboniferous era is the scorpion, Ullman, Kirk's tennis scorpion, the remains of which were found in Scotland. The length of this giant reached 70 centimeters. And although this species is significantly inferior in size to its military ancestor, it is favorably distinguished by the presence of well-preserved specimens, which is generally rare for a spider. In general, scorpions are in fact reptiles that minimum adaptation to terrestrial life, for example, pulmonary breathing and walking, are combined with them quite unusual acquisitions. Poisonous apparatus at the end of the rear section of the body. Dream of catfish transition to its birth, bearing young on itself. And here is another interesting spider from Carbon. Spiny spider Douglas. This is a small rickets about 15 millimeters in size. Its uniqueness lies in the fact that its legs were completely covered. Until now, paleontologists have not been able to accurately determine the systematic position of this spider. In general morphology, it resembles some types of ticks. But many scientists are of the opinion that the Douglas spider should be attributed to the extinct branch of Panthera, Mata, who left no descendants. Then, in the Coal period, the first representative of the Sol Pook order, or as they are also called. Their body length can reach 80 millimeters. In their physiological structure, extremely primitive features are combined with signs of high development. The most striking distinguishing feature is the cast, long fingers, and huge hypertrophied or digits. All of their appearance gives away a fast and deadly predator, and if you met such a cute creature, you would hardly want to take it in your hands. A characteristic feature of the cast, unlike other species, is the presence of a powerful developed. Apparently, this is due to their incredibly intense lifestyle. They are capable of developing great speed, easily climbing vertical surfaces, and can jump at a distance of up to a meter. Salt spiders are incredibly voracious, capable of attacking even small mammals, such as reptiles and birds. The beginning of the era was marked not only by the appearance of such colorful guys as dinosaurs. In the world of spiders of different types, The increase in the diversity of insects leads to the emergence of real theoretical spiders. That is, spiders capable of weaving a full-fledged web. Separate mention should be made of the appearance in the general kingdom of a detachment of large poisonous spiders, which include modern food birds. Those same fluffy little animals that everyone secretly dreams of having at home. Any more or less normal girl. The oldest known to science, they are glamorous, are considered to be spiders of the Gallia genus, found in the... These predators lived near water bodies and could weave different webs used to catch prey. Their bodies had already completely lost their features, segments. Externally, these spiders were almost no different from modern ones. Since the time of their appearance on the battlefield, the giant among land spiders was characteristic only of some species of scorpions. The spiders themselves remained extremely small, no more than 2 or 3 centimeters in length. However, in the era, apparently taking an example from their contemporaries, the dinosaur spider, some species already reached quite impressive dimensions. The Mongolian configuration, which lived during the Jurassic period in the territory of modern Mongolia and China, reached 15 centimeters in leg span. It was a slender leg length, a spider belonging to the order of the circle of Phila circle, famous for weaving the largest webs, the area of which can reach several square meters, and the length of the signal threads is measured in tens of meters. The descendants of the circle are currently widespread in tropical latitudes around the world. Here is another interesting creation from the world of spiders of different meat products. Areas related to the order of phones or harness, and tails large growned and possessing a rather exotic appearance, reminiscent of something between a scorpion and salt arcs. Their main feature is huge in appearance and device resembling claws. The fossil species was found in the Cretaceous deposits of the Brazilian Kraft Formation and reached a length of almost 70 millimeters. By the way, some modern phones are not inferior to their ancestor in size, and despite their terrifying appearance, are quite harmless to humans. Many lovers of spiders of different kinds keep phones at home in a terrarium. So if you have difficulties choosing a gift for your girlfriend, then here you go, a ready-made option. Even more impressive is Miss Azov phalanx, whose remains were found in the same chalk layers of Brazil. This male is almost 17 centimeters long. Considering that the females of spiders are usually much larger than the males, it can be assumed that the representatives of the fair sex of these creatures reached at least 1/4 meter in length. This species was named by scientists after the formation in which the remains of the giant species were discovered. With the arrival of Zoe, old nature finally calmed down and brought the kingdom of different spiders to approximately the form in which we are accustomed to observing it now. The diversity of complex flowering plants has caused an incredible spread of winged insects and dust. The main prey of spiders is different, therefore our many friends had no shortage of food. Interesting fact: every year, spiders figuratively kill and eat about 800 million tons of various living creatures, which is a whole of all primary bioproduction of the planet. Of the interesting species, one can note the large representative of the glamorous spiders from distant Australia. The weasel, which is one of the largest fossil spiders. It lived about 10 to 15 million years ago, during the time of medicine. It soon became extinct due to the change of the once favorable climate in Australia to a more arid one. This spider led a new way of life, attacked its prey, and ambushed. Modern representatives of this genus populated the islands of Indonesia, but unfortunately, write about it in the comments under this video. And if you ever think about tidying up your room, be careful not to sweep away with a broom the little new creature that has appeared in the old web under the ceiling. After all, behind it is a life path of hundreds of 1 million years of evolution, a path that many of us have never even dreamed of.